Hello and welcome. My name's James. I'm from the Candidate Coach, and thank you very much for taking the time to attend our workshop today. This particular workshop is called How to Land a Graduate Job in Australia, and we're going to be focusing on some tips. I'm going to aim to give you some tips today that maybe you haven't heard. We're going to go through 12 tips in particular, and hopefully, there's a couple of things amongst those tips which make you think, wow, I didn't know that, or I'm not doing that. Now, when applying for graduate jobs, it's probably that one type of role where there is a lot of information that is given to you. There's obviously a lot of attention. There's a lot of hype. Whether you're studying at a large university or a small private education provider, you've probably had some access to some graduate job seeking events, resources and materials to help you on your way, to help you prepare. So what I'm going to try and look at a little bit today is maybe some tips that you haven't been given, but are things that I think and things that I've seen can make a really big difference when it comes to applying for a graduate job and standing out, because we know the graduate recruitment process is extremely popular. So welcome to today's workshop, How to Land a Graduate Job in Australia. Now, just to begin with, a couple of housekeeping things. If I do look today like I'm looking over to the right a little bit, that's because that's where my presentation screen is, and hopefully you can see that really well. But in terms of housekeeping, if I do drop off the line at all today, because I'm coming to you live, if I lose internet connection or there's a power outage, I'll rejoin as quickly as I can. Do ask lots of questions in the comments box where you are. Your questions will be answered live as you ask them, and take lots of notes. So this is really important. When you hear something for the first time, when you're in a learning environment, the way something resonates with you the first time is really quite powerful. When you hear that learning for the second or third time, it kind of doesn't resonate in the same way. It doesn't hit you in the same way. So take notes as you're going today. And if you do learn something, write it down in that moment, and think about how you can apply it in that moment. And also, you can watch a recording of today's workshop. So this will be on our YouTube channel within a matter of minutes of the workshop concluding. You can go and watch that again straight away if you like. You can come back and watch that in a week, a month, a year. You can also share it with your friends and colleagues who may also be applying for work. Now, just a little bit about me, your presenter, James. Who am I? Well, I'm a director at Smart Recruitment, and I've been working in recruitment since 2005. So, well over 15, over 16 years now, coming up to my 17th year in recruitment. In that time, I think I've conducted around 3,000 interviews and around 600 group assessments. It could easily be a lot more than that. It could easily be double that many, to be honest. And I've placed well over 1,000 people into jobs. Launched the Candidate Coach, the platform that we're meeting on today, in December 2019. Alrighty, so let me start off with a question. Are you planning on applying for a graduate vacancy in the next 12 months? I'd be really keen to hear from you if you're watching this today, so we know in the audience, are you actually applying for a graduate vacancy in the next 12 months? Or maybe maybe you're in your first year of university, first year of your course. It's a 3 to 5 year course, but you've decided that, look, it's really important that you start to understand the job application process. And if that's you as well, then good on you for joining us today. Okay, according to Grad Australia, based on all the data across all the industries, the average employer reviewed, let's call it 2,000 graduate applications for 59 positions. So straight away you think 59 positions, that's pretty good. That's a large number. 2,000 applications. What does that really mean? Well, that actually means it gives each graduate a 1 in 30. chances of getting the job, or does it actually make you feel, a bit dismayed? From this list of emojis, if you had to choose, type into the comment box, how does it make you feel? How does it make you feel having a 1 in 33 chance? What it means to me is we need to be doing all the little things well. We need to be doing all the little things well. So if we've got a 1 in 33 chance, we need to do the big things well. Obviously, we need to have a good resume, a good cover letter, good interview technique. We must do all of those things. But when it comes down to 1 in 33, we need to do the little things well. We need to do the little things well as well. We basically need to do everything well. There's going to be some luck involved. But if you do all the small things well, you can turn the luck in your favor. So hopefully through some of the tips today, we're going to be able to show you what you can do. All right, so let's get stuck into it. 11 job hunting tips in a competitive market. I'm actually going to give you 12 tips today. I've added in a 12th one. So my tip number 1 is, first of all, realize that all graduates meet the selection criteria. This is a really important thing. So when you apply for a graduate job, and I was the same when I applied for graduate jobs 17 years ago, you think, oh, look, it says graduate accounting position. I'm a graduate accountant, and you apply for the job and then you don't even get to interview. And you think, well, why didn't I get to interview? I meet the selection criteria. They're asking for a graduate accountant. That's me. Well, what you need to realize is that everybody who applies for that job meets the selection criteria. So by being a graduate, all it means is you're allowed to apply. It doesn't mean you're special for the job. It doesn't mean you're going to go straight to an interview stage. It doesn't mean you're going to get offered the job. All it means is you meet the minimum criteria to apply. So some graduates rest on their laurels here and they think, well, I'm a graduate. This is a graduate job. Those two things meet. I'm going to be successful here. The answer is no. All it means is you can apply for the job. You've kind of got to the starting position. You've been given entry into the race. Think of it that way. So it is really important to realize this, because if you think I'm a graduate, I'm going to get the job, you're way off. You're absolutely way off. What you need to think is, great, I've graduated. I've got to the starting point of being able to apply for jobs. Now I've got to continue to impress. I've really got to continue to impress. This is a really frustrating lesson for a lot of graduates to realize, because you've done a lot of hard work. You've finished high school, you've done a 3 to 5 year degree, sometimes even longer. You've found the graduate job that looks really interesting. You apply for it and you don't hear back. And the reason is that you've rested on your laurels. You've put in an average application, whereas the candidates you're competing with, and the other 32 candidates going for that one job, the same job as you, they've put in a lot of effort. So you need to realize that all graduates, everybody who is applying for the job, meets the selection criteria. So that does not make you special. Maybe this is a harsh lesson for you to hear, but it's an important one for all graduates to be aware of. All right, tip number 2. I'd love to hear your answer. Type this into the comments box. Are you attending careers fairs? Are you attending careers fairs, graduate expos, whatever you like to call them? We've popped a photo on the screen there. I'll bring. Alrighty. So if you're going along to careers fairs, here's what I want you to do. I want you to go along with a pen and paper, and at each stand or each stall that you go up to, when you are talking to that organization about their graduate program, you'll probably be given a leaflet, you'll be given information, you might be given a show bag, a stress ball, a lollipop. What I want you to do, though, is to actually write down the names of the people you speak to. And if you don't know what their name is, or they don't have a badge, ask them what their name is. So if you meet Sandra Brown from ANZ Bank, for example, and you have a good chat to her for 15 minutes, I want you to go away on your notepad, write down ANZ Graduate Quiz Fair, Sandra Brown, graduate program, whatever her title was. When you are then going through any of the application process with ANZ, I would use her name. So I would use her name in the cover letter. I would mention in the cover letter that I met Sandra Brown at the Careers Fair. You would mention in the interview, I met Sandra Brown at the Careers Fair, and I was really impressed when she mentioned this aspect of the graduate program. Using people's names is really powerful. We all like our names mentioned. Now, maybe you will never see that Sandra Brown again, but what it will show the interviewer is that you remembered meeting her and that you are seeming particularly interested in working for this organization. So using people's names, tip number 2, is really powerful. Include in your cover letter and during your interview the name of the people you met, what they said and why you were impressed. What they said and why you're impressed. So if you said interview, I met Sandra Brown at the Monash University Careers Fair. We spoke for 15 minutes. She gave me a great insight into the first 3 rotations in the graduate campaign. What interested me most was when she said this. If you are giving an answer like this, the interviewer is thinking, wow, this graduate is really interested in working for us. They actually sound super, super keen. They remembered who they've met. So use people's names. You won't know their names, though, unless you go along to the careers fair, you talk to them and you write down their names, because you might not apply for a job with them for 6 months. You'll forget the name. Write it down. Take a notepad when you're going to graduate careers fairs. Take notes. All right, tip number 3. What is has the same qualifications. So again, we're coming back to my first tip. Everybody's got the same qualifications here. Everybody that has applied for the job or can be considered for the job is a graduate. You're a graduate. The other 100 applicants are a graduate. So we need our resume to stand out because we're kind of all the same. And one way we do that, or the best way to do that, is to have what we call an achievements-based resume. An achievements-based resume. Now, if you're not sure what an achievements-based resume is, I encourage you to attend our resume workshop, which will be on next week, most likely. Stay up to date with our LinkedIn page or our candidate coach pages to find when we're running workshops, but we run 2 workshops every single week. Next week, I believe we might be doing our resume workshop, or you can watch a copy of one of our previous ones. And we show you how to make an achievements-based resume, because it's your achievements that make you stand out. So if everybody's got an accounting degree and everybody's working in hospitality, everyone's sounding pretty much the same. But if you can highlight your achievements, maybe you got a high distinction for corporate accounting law. Maybe you got a promotion when you were working at McDonald's. I know what you did at McDonald's. I've got a good idea of what you studied. Your achievements tell me that you did it well, and that's what I want to know. Alrighty, tip number 4. What's tip number 4? Show what you know about the company and the industry. Because today we're talking about how to stand out as a graduate, right? We're talking about how to stand out as a graduate. Now, every graduate knows how to go onto the company website. Every graduate knows how to go onto the careers page of the company website, or the LinkedIn page, or any other social media platform. And pretty much every graduate does research into the company. But if you really want to stand out, and that's what this workshop is about, show you know information and you have an interest into the actual industry, the marketplace that organization works in. That will really help you stand out. So where would you go to find out this information? Well, you would simply Google. Let's just say you're applying for a job in chemical engineering, and you've applied for a job with a company called Worley Parsons, which are a well-known chemical engineering company. Now, you can find out a lot of information about Worley Parsons, and all of the applicants will. But if you can actually show that you're really interested in the chemical engineering industry and the marketplace that this employer works in, and you know what's happening out there at the moment, this is what's going to make you stand out from other candidates. So you must do more research than the other candidates. You must be the best researched candidate in the graduate application process, because if you're not, you're probably not going to get the job. Company websites, careers pages, press releases, and annual reports. So those are those two ones there: press releases and annual reports, as well as industry news. They are the ones that are going to help you to stand out. That's what you need to do. That is what you need to do. Industry news, industry websites, and groups. Go and join an industry group on LinkedIn. There's no reason why you can't. And then you can mention that in the interview. And what you're suggesting to the interviewer is that you're really passionate, not only about this company, not only about this job, but also about the industry. This is where your future is. And that stands out. That is impressive at interview. So what's with all the research? Well, I want to share a quote with you here. I want to share, not a quote, a LinkedIn post from well-known important. I understand doing research takes effort and you don't even know if it'll pay off. However, that's exactly what other applicants do to get the job, and they're the ones that you are competing with right from the beginning of the application. So you're hearing it there from the horse's mouth, so to speak. You need to do your research. And if you think, I kind of can't be bothered, well, just think about the fact you're competing with at least 33 other people for one job. Do you think those other 33 candidates are going to be doing their research? You bet they are. All right. Tip number 5, let's research the recruitment process. Well, what do I mean here? First of all, find out what tests will you be taking. Testing, online testing, skills testing, psychometric testing, behavioral testing. Graduate recruitment programs love to test candidates. Find out what test you're going to be taking, and you can then go away and Google it. Go away and Google what test you'll be taking. What assessments will you be asked to complete? Are you going to be asked to complete a group activity assessment? You can then go away and research this, particularly with the tests. You can research it here, what other people have to say. This will help you to best prepare. What do previous candidates have to say? There are review sites now. You can Google the graduate recruitment program recruitment process for big companies, and you'll find posts, you'll find blogs, you'll find even more official pages where they talk about what happens and what you can expect. All right, tip 6. This is a big one. Practice your interview technique. It's the only way it will get better. Now, this sounds unsurprising, doesn't it? This sounds unsurprising. James, you're telling me to practice my interview technique. Well, duh. Everyone says I should practice my interview technique. Guess what? No one does it. Nobody actually does it. They might do it in their own mind. They might read some questions, but they never sit down with another person and say, hey, here's 10 questions. Can you pretend to interview me? Hey, mum. Hey, dad. Hey, brother. Hey, sister. Hey, girlfriend, boyfriend, partner, friend, colleague. Do you mind spending 15 minutes asking me some interview questions and just telling me how you think I answer them? You will get some valuable feedback if you do this. If you don't do this, your interview technique is probably going to suck. And it's only going to suck because you haven't been bothered practicing it. So if you want your interview technique to get better, you need to practice it. And by practicing it, I don't mean scrolling through articles, reading what questions you might get asked. I mean literally printing out those questions, giving them to someone, and asking them to tell you how well they think you answered them. All right, tip number 7 is on that note. One of the reasons why we don't practice our interview technique is because we think our interview technique sucks. And we're embarrassed about our interview technique. We're also too embarrassed to practice. And one of the reasons is we feel like we struggle with our nerves. Thanks for joining us at The Candidate Coach, Dr. Barker. Tell us a bit about your background and the type of work you do.
I am Dr. Sarah Barker. I'm a clinical psychologist. I've worked in workplace mental health with Black Dog Institute for the past 7 years.
Dr. Barker, why is it common to feel nerves when going for a job interview?
We commonly feel nervous, and I would say most people feel nervous when going for a job interview because we feel a lot depends on it and that we're going to be evaluated as well. So nerves are a very, very common response. It's really important to remember that the person who's doing the recruiting also feels nervous as well because they want to get the right person, and they're also aware that they're expecting people to come in feeling nervous as well. They know that that's a common human experience.
What can we do before the interview to help best prepare so that we're not overcome by feelings of nerves and anxiety?
To best prepare ourselves to avoid some of those feelings of anxiety and nerves before an interview, firstly is to accept, I think, that they're going to be there. And actually, a few nerves are actually helpful. They help us give our best performance, give our best answers, think the best on the spot. So accepting that there's going to be a level of nerves is okay. But I think also probably an hour beforehand or the morning before the interview, really practicing some breathing strategies, whichever is your favourite breathing strategy, to calm those nerves down, calm the system down, calm the breath down, and allow your body to relax as much as it can into the interview. I also think preparing answers and having a practice in front of the mirror of some likely answers that are going to be, or likely responses to questions that are going to be asked can be very, very reassuring, because often the questions we predict are there. And even on the internet, there are usually lots of questions for any job that are typical questions that you can then prepare a brief response reflecting on your experience beforehand. So it's not such a test in the moment then, because you've got some preparation behind you. The other thing I think too is reminding yourself, I've got this far and this is a good thing. And, you know, they're interested in getting to know me. I'm also interested in getting to know them, and concentrate on the relationship too and enjoy the relationship as much as you can. They're usually going to try and put you at ease so that they can see how you respond as well.
And what can we do during the interview if we feel a bout of nerves or anxiety coming on?
It's very common for us to suddenly feel overwhelmed in the moment in an interview. If that happens, take some deep breaths. It's okay to buy some time. It's okay. And also, when we take deep breaths in an interview, know when it's only usually us that notice. Okay, so taking some deep breaths can really be helpful. And even saying to the interviewer, could I just take a moment here just to pause and gather my thoughts, and then just breathe, okay? And then when you're ready, come back and say, I'm ready to continue on. And that's a fine way to manage nerves during an interview. One tip that I think is a really useful one is to have a practice of your responses to the likely questions in front of the mirror. Something you might notice is that the questions you're feeling more confident about, you'll smile more, you'll be more relaxed, you'll strut your stuff a little bit as you respond. You'll notice too, the questions you feel less confident about, you might stop smiling or your face might change. Those questions are the ones you need to practice a little bit more at, and remind yourself of your confidence with that, or prepare your answer so that you do feel more confident, because your face will actually tell you in the mirror, and that can be good preparation for the actual interview of knowing where to focus on in feeling more strong in your responses. In summary, nerves and anxiety for interviews can be partially managed and avoided by preparing beforehand, using our breathing exercises and techniques to reduce stress so we're going in feeling calmer, and also during the interview by practicing those same skills. Often when we're nervous, we stop breathing or we breathe very shallowly. So if we start noticing ourselves doing that, really being conscious of our breath and paying attention to it and allowing that to carry us through.
Thanks for watching today, and we hope this has helped you best prepare for your next job interview. Good luck. So my next question to you is, who do you want to work with? Who would you rather work with? On the left or on the right, depending which way my screen goes, somebody likable. Choice A is somebody likable. Choice B is somebody unlikable. Ugh. Who would you want to work with? Look, it sounds silly, right? But be likable. It will increase your chances of getting the job. When you're sitting down for an interview with somebody, whether it's a graduate job or any job, they are thinking, whether they realize it or not, do they want to work with you? Are you the person that they want to sit next to? Right here next to me for 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, 48 weeks of the year, for the next 5 years. Now, if you come across as unlikable, negative, boring, aloof, disinterested, disengaged, the answer is going to be no. But if you come across as friendly, approachable, happy, positive, confident, engaged, and committed, the answer will be yes. So be likable. Be likable. Why? Well, simply, it will increase your chances of getting the job. It is human nature. I know it doesn't sound very politically correct, and it doesn't sound very formal in terms of going for a job, but if you are likable, if you can build some rapport, get along well, be polite, it will increase your chances of getting the job. Tip 9, ask great questions. What do I mean by this? What do I mean by ask great questions? Well, at the end of every interview, you will be asked, do you have any questions for me? Now, this is the one part of the interview where you actually get the opportunity to set the agenda here. So up until this point, you might have been asked 15 questions. You can only answer those questions. Now you kind of set the tone. So if you can ask some great questions here in this kind of free time, you can really differentiate yourself from the other candidates. So what do I mean by great questions? Well, don't ask what's the salary, what are the hours, where is it located, where would I be sitting? Ask some questions that help to show you have done a lot of research. As we talked about before, research into the company is absolutely base level, but into the industry, into the marketplace. Ask some great questions here to impress. The aim here is we want to impress the person that's meeting with us by asking some questions. The questions here can make you stand out. They absolutely can. Tip number 10. Positive, responsive communication. So what do I mean by that? Well, a lot of job seekers think, okay, yeah, I'm going for an interview. I'll be my best self during the interview, and that's all I need to do. But no, there is lots of little interactions that are going to occur throughout the recruitment process. And on every one of those interactions, you are being judged. So answer the phone in a positive and professional manner. Have a voicemail. Have a voicemail set up. If you don't have a voicemail and I can't leave you a voicemail, I will move on to the next candidate. Show interest in the person that you're meeting. So you're not just going for a company and a job. Find out who you're meeting in advance if you can. Find their name. Look them up on LinkedIn. Show them. Ask them a question. Hey, James, I see you've been here for 4 years and you've been promoted twice. Congratulations. Why do you like working here? Show interest. Ask for honest feedback and really mean it. Show that you are genuinely interested in this company. And if you're not going to get the job or you can improve in your chances anyway, you want to know. Have a thankful attitude. Simply say to the recruiter at the end of the interview, thanks for taking the time to meet with me today. I really appreciate it. It will really help. All right, tip number 11, become a video interview pro. Most graduate interviews now are occurring via video. So what do I mean by becoming a video interview pro?
Hi job seekers, James here from The Candidate Coach. One of the most common questions we've been receiving lately is around how to best prepare for a video interview. Due to the circumstances over the last 12 to 18 months, video interviews have become the most common way of meeting a candidate, replacing the in-person, face-to-face interview. So here are my top tips for what you need to do to make sure you are best prepared and presenting yourself as well as you possibly can when your interview is over video. So there's 4 main things that you really need to consider. The first thing is camera height. This is the biggest mistake that a lot of people make, is getting the height of their camera wrong. If you've got a laptop, for example, that is sitting on a desk, you need to lift it up. The camera should always be at eye height. You want to imagine the lens of a camera is the eyeball of a person. So if you are looking down at your laptop or your phone, it's going to look back up your nose. So keep the camera positioned at eye height. One of the great ways to do that is to buy a tripod, something like this. So if you don't have a tripod, it's well worth going out and spending the money. And here's another one that I've got here. This one in particular I find to be really, really good. These have both got lights which help, but this one here, you can adjust it to a full standing height if you like. And it's available for not much money from a retail store. The second thing that is really important is the lighting. So having the light shining on your face. You don't want to have light shining from behind you because that creates a lot of glare. So have the light shining on your face, sit with a window facing you so that you are looking nice and clear on camera. The third thing is audio. You need to be in a nice quiet space so your voice comes across clearly, so that you don't have to yell, so that the sound is not distorted. If you are using a laptop, make sure you check about the sound direction. Some microphones only record from directly in front, and if you tilt your head sideways, the audio quality can go down quite significantly. And the fourth thing is, remember to show some personality with video interviewing. A lot of people speak to a camera in a different way that they speak to a person. So again, look at the lens of the camera and imagine you're speaking to a person. Smile. Talk with your hands if that's what you do, but don't look around the room. If you're nervous, don't look down at your hands. Look at the camera and give an answer as if you were giving it to a person. This can be challenging, particularly if you are being asked to record answers and there's not actually a person that you are speaking to, but personality definitely comes through on video, so make sure you show yours. And with everything, practice. If you're not sure how you're going to present, or you think, I don't think this is going to work really well, set up your camera, hit record, and just speak to the camera. Talk, see how you look, and practice several times. This is going to be the new norm, or not the new norm, it is the norm for quite some time now, so it's really important that you understand how to best prepare for video interviewing. Good luck.
Tip 12 is our final tip today, and our final tip may be the most important one. The final tip is missing out isn't the end of the world. Now, when you are a graduate, when you have spent so much time and effort and money and energy and sleepless nights and hours of study and exam preparation into graduating, and then it comes time to applying for a graduate job, and you line up the 5 or 6 companies that you're really keen on, you imagine yourself working there, you meet people, you go through a couple of interviews, you then get that letter and it says you're unsuccessful. And it is a big blow. It really is a big blow. I've been there myself. And I thought I missed out on my dream company that I wanted to work for about the last 2 years. I didn't even get to the first round of interview. And I felt like, well, what was the point of going and studying? 2 months later, I had an absolutely wonderful job and I've never looked back. So missing out on a graduate job isn't the end of the world. As we saw earlier, 1 in 33. There's 33 applications for every graduate job. So statistically speaking, you're not going to get a graduate job. So you actually need to be prepared on missing out. There are lots of options for you to take up if you do miss out. Alrighty, so if you're still wanting some more assistance today, after today, this workshop, I'd really encourage you to check out your candidate coaching platform, which has video coaching episodes, resume and cover letter templates, interview questions, practice tests. You can take practice tests to check your skills. You can download checklists to make sure you're best prepared. There's articles you can read. We have advice for executive job seekers, mental health support, a lot of information on our upcoming live workshops. As I've said before, we run 2 workshops most week. That's 8 a month. And all of this is available for you for free. Now, before you go, please spend a couple of minutes, 2 minutes actually, because we created a 2-minute survey. It only has 5 or 6 questions. Head to surveymonkey.com/r/candidate coach. We want to hear your feedback from today. What did you like about the session? What didn't you like? And importantly, what other topics can we give you coaching on? And please do follow us on our LinkedIn page. That's where you can keep up to date with everything that's going on with the Candidate Coach. But thank you very much for joining me today. We'll hang around in the chat function for another 10 minutes to answer any other questions that come through. But we will finish today with this video, which I'd really encourage you to watch, because what it does is highlight the importance of looking after your mental health when you're looking for work. Have a great day.
If you're not feeling terrific at the moment and you feel like your mental well-being has taken a little bit of a dip, please remember this is not going to last forever. There's lots you can do to manage your mental health and get back on top of it. I am Dr. Sarah Barker. I'm a clinical psychologist. I've worked in workplace mental health with Black Dog Institute for the past 7 years. I work with a lot of adults and young people, mainly with anxiety, depression, trauma as well, a range of issues, and many who are looking for work and undergoing that process of trying to find employment. Looking for work causes mental strain because our identity is tied up with our work. Work gives us meaning, it gives us purpose, it gives us company and connection. So it's stressful for lots of reasons looking for work, and it can take a toll on our mental health. It's really important for us to be aware of the signs that our well-being and our mental health might be dropping. Probably the biggest sign is changes in behaviour. So that might be changes in the way we're thinking or talking to ourselves. We might be saying things like, who would employ me? I'll never get a job. We might be really down on ourselves and really hard and critical on ourselves when normally we're not so hard and critical. We might also, in our relationships, change our behaviour. We might be more snappy or more irritable with people that we love. That normally we might be a little bit irritable sometimes, but not irritable in that way. Losing interest in things that usually sparked us and ignited us and gave us joy. So perhaps usually we like walking the dog and suddenly we start thinking, I can't be bothered walking the dog today. That sort of thing, those changes in behaviour are really significant because they tell us that something's different, and if we're noticing, I suppose, more than one of those and it's affecting the way we feel, and this is over a period of say 2 weeks or longer, then it's a really good idea to have a chat to a GP that you trust, and find out what might be going on, have a discussion and see if there's any physical reasons for that, or if perhaps your mental health and wellbeing might be able to do with a little bit of extra support, and then the GP can refer you on to see a psychologist, a counsellor, whoever is most appropriate for you. There are so many great things you can do to look after your mental health when you're looking for work, and it's really important that you do. My very top tip would be really talking kindly to yourself and being compassionate with yourself. I think when we're looking for work, we can have a lot more questions like, will I ever get a job? Will I ever be employed? It can feel like this could go on forever. So being kind to ourselves and saying things like, it will work out. There will be a day, my efforts will be rewarded. It will just take time. I just need to keep trying. Reminding yourself of your strengths. And that might even be tapping into people you love and asking them what your strengths are, because sometimes it's harder to find them when our mood's a bit low and we're feeling more worried. We can be harder on ourselves. I think that routine is really, really important to our well-being. When we're looking for work, we mightn't have such a regular routine because there mightn't be a 9 to 5 start and finish time for a job, or there isn't. So instead, thinking about looking for work as a job in itself can be helpful. Having a start time and a finish time can be really helpful, and some set tasks that you hope to achieve that day. Purpose is really important too. So purpose might come through routine, but it can also come through other things. Meaning's really important, and our work gives us meaning. So when we're looking for work, meaning mightn't feel like it's there as much. Part of what we can do is infuse those tasks with meaning. So I am doing these things today, I'm looking for work, and that is meaningful in itself because there's an end goal to this. It will be something that's good for me and good for the people that I love as well. Some excellent resources for looking after well-being when looking for work are the Headgear app. The Headgear app is free, it's evidence-based, it's developed by Black Dog Institute, and it is fun to use. It uses mindfulness, so a technique to really help us relax and reduce physiological arousal, which can often occur when we're feeling anxious. It's got a 30-day challenge, which is just short, bite-sized little challenges to extend your well-being and grow your well-being, and that can be really extra important when we're looking for work. There are also some really terrific resources available through the Black Dog Institute. One of them is a beautiful self-care plan that encourages you to think about your top coping tips, the things that personally work best for you, that are positive coping strategies. Another really good resource is through Beyond Blue, and they've got some excellent resources to look after mental health while looking for work, and also when people are recently out of work as well. Probably time to seek professional assistance when you notice your mood is lower and you're feeling more down than usual, when you're worrying more and perhaps worrying excessively about things that you wouldn't normally worry about, and perhaps in your relationships too, when you're more tense with people and perhaps more snappy or irritable. All of these are signs that perhaps our mood is not in the greatest space and our well-being is not in the greatest space, and that it can be a great idea then to chat to your GP, who can then refer you to an appropriate person to help you strengthen your well-being. It's very common for people to have a dip, but please know that that's not going to last forever, and that there's lots you can do through looking after yourself, but also through getting access to professional support that can really give you a boost again and get you back feeling good as you're looking for work.